performance.
Scott, you require
very high
120.
standard. 96.5, the average. It's very, very unfortunate to leave here with just 6 points. With that sort of level, you'd expect to be leaving with the 10.
On the first leg, Scott
first max of the match and the first max of the day, but it may be insurmountable if Brown can find the bull.
84. Scott,
Big
you require
180 has given himself the opportunity. Well, it's 2 singles to the double for the match. And on this occasion, Scott Taylor gets over the line. A good, valiant fight there from Steve Brown. He brought that one back. He made a game of it. He missed the bullseye to take us all the way. But Scott Taylor, the man who opened up the original favourite to win this group, finally gets himself onto the top. But he does have games in hand. David Schlicking will be up in a couple of games' time. But before that, Andy Hamilton takes on James Richardson.
Andy, you require 118.
He's left himself on top of the target he hit last time. But before he can have a shot at that, he's got to hope that Andy Hamilton doesn't take out the 112. And that's an ideal dart there for the hammer. Double 19.
Game shot on the third leg. And Andy Hamilton.
Is a hammer blow from the hammer. Hamilton can
Andy,
hit this double 16.
32.
For 4-2 victory.
Game shot.
And Andy Hamilton keeps himself in amongst the mix in terms of qualification. He gets the better of James Richardson by 4 legs to 2. Helped in part to that 118 finish in the middle of the piece. As for Richardson, well, it was his most below par performance of the week so far at the worst possible time. As for Hamilton, an average just under 91, 4 out of 7 when it came to the finishing. He moves on to 4 points. Next up, the man who tops the table, David Schlicking in action against Jarno Bottenberg.
His package at the start of the week.
89.
And up going on and winning it.
The ball for the match, for the win, and Jarno Bottenberg has inflicted a second defeat on David Schlicking in 2 games.
Back to the practice room.
18 leaves tops for Topper to win the match. And Scott Taylor lets out a sigh of relief because he knows that he was embroiled in a battle there against James Richardson. You could see it in the reaction. A little bit of a G-up, a little bit of a mop of the brow as he departs the stage, beating James Richardson by 4 legs to 3. He threatened us with a 9, he hit 4 maximums, and he is back to the top of the pile, on to 10 points. Coming up after the break, Steve Brown against David Schlicking.
Steve, you require 160.
160 for Steve Brown, another one of them. Leads himself tops. Oh, what a skin saver that is from Steve Brown, a 160 to keep himself in the contest. Well, he threw the darts better than he could retrieve them. It's somewhere, Steve. Look, oh, just down there, just down there. There we go. Jack Garwood, not just a referee, but he can also find lost. So, time for the ladder.
Steve, you require 120.
Could be time for another ton plus out. He's got 6 from here, Steve Brown, but he looks for tops for back-to-back ton toppers.
Steve Brown.
This is an exhibition of finishing from Steve Brown. A 160 followed by a 120. Double 10.
Game shot.
David Schlicking to move him on to 10 points in the group by getting the better of a spirited Steve Brown by 4 legs to 2. Schlicking raced into a 3-0 lead. Steve Brown then came back with back-to-back ton plus finishes to bring it back to 3-2. And such is the business head of David Schlicking today. There's no celebration for the camera. A 4-2 win with an 87 average. Coming up after the break, Andy Hamilton and Jarno Bottenberg will round off the second round.
Now it poses a question of splitting here for Andy Hamilton.
Andy, you require 38.
Splits for double 16 to put a big blot on the Bottenberg board.
Game shot.
A 4-3 victory for Andy Hamilton means that Jarno Bottenberg has lost pace with the pacemakers. Hamilton just keeps himself in with a sneak and a squeak, and it's a happy hammer dive. Stop! Hammer time! As Hamilton gets a better of Bottenberg by 4 legs to 3. Goodness me, we're having some fun on this Friday, aren't we, at the Super Series? But The fun is just going to stop for a few seconds. We're going to take a short break. The Tungsten Fun continues on 3 o'clock. But after this short break, the analysis of Matthew Edgar at Richardson now 105 to save it. This would be for a breaker throw. Goes 25 tops and another. Oh, yes.
Game shot on the 5th
Put
leg.
that in the
James
highlight
Richardson.
reel. This time he couldn't find
David, you require 101.
after finding a pair in the last. Double 12 for a tongue topper for David Schlicking. And he knows the significance of that victory. It puts him on to 12 points. It puts him so close. The turtle is oh so close to crossing the finishing line. And you can see with the celebration into the camera how significant that victory he feels that is. An 86.91 average. 4 out of 7 when it came to the finishing. Schlicking beats Richardson by 4 legs to 2. After the break, the other player in the top of the table equation is Scott Taylor. He takes on the dancing hammer. Andy Hammer.
You require 16.
A 1-0 lead. Now for 4s. Now, choices.
14.
Because he's left himself in the madhouse with his opponent not on a finish. There was an argument there that he should have, possibly could have, bust and burst the score to go back to the original target of 88.
Yeah, I just don't think we're ever going to get a situation where a player turns down a double 2 because
58.
it's something that traditionally
Scott, you require
isn't
2.
an issue other than coming inside. He might throw a safer dart
leg.
double
Scott
2.
Taylor.
Has he not found
Scott,
the bed?
You require 132.
Is it time to pop the cork? Bull. Double
Game
16 for the
leg.
champagne finish. And he may well be able to pop the cork shortly. He's 3-0 to the good. Points at the top of the group. It's down for double 2. It's in the double 2. Scott Taylor moves 1 step closer now towards tomorrow night's final. A player who has already tasted Champions Week is hoping to taste it again, and he is 1 step closer, having eliminated half of the field in the process. That man there, Andy Hamilton, walks off stage knowing that his hopes of progression are over. Taylor with a superb champagne finish of 132 amongst the mix and a 4-0 victory. And coming up after the break, Jarno Bottenberg takes on Steve Brown.
First victory of the day.
Steve, you require 40.
Tots of Brown to beat Bottenberg.
Game shot.
Tots is found, and Jarno Bottenberg now is in a world of trouble. His hopes are hanging by a thin thread as Steve Brown walks off a 4-1 victor, and he is happy with himself. That was the walk down the steps of a very happy man. A 4-1 victory means that the victor of the next game between Scott Taylor and David Schlicking will qualify for tomorrow night's final. Join us next.
Very
David, you require
quickly, certainly in the
170.
approach play of the players.
Another one of them. Can the turtle find the fish?
127. Scott, you require 106.
Tots for Taylor for a ton top of his own.
Shot on the first
that
leg.
is
Scott
some way
Taylor
to take out the first leg when you're put under severe pressure. Chance for the break. Chance for 2-0. Chance to put him halfway towards the qualification post if he can find the bullseye.
64. David, you require 5. Game shot on the second leg. David Schlick.
Double 16 for Schlichting. What can he see of that? That is awkward. Scott Taylor in the background was thinking, good luck, mate. Oh,
Game shot on the fourth leg. David Schlichting.
What a find. What a time. He feels he's blown it. Double 5.
15.
More chances. More and more chances have come and gone.
Scott, you require 10.
This is incredible.
It's going to have to Come on, his options here to go straight for it. He
Game
does,
shot on a
straight for it,
sick flag.
straight in the
Taylor.
middle.
Require
6-7.
51.
Scott Taylor, who has survived match darts,
Game shot.
finds
on
a
the
match
Scott
darts
Taylor.
and finds himself through to tomorrow night's final. He beats David Schlicking by 4 legs to 3, who had his own opportunities to qualify through. That is the sigh of relief from a man who knows he's in. That is the disconsolate look of a man who knows he's had an opportunity and he's let it pass him by. That the tale of the tape from that particular encounter. Taylor with an 86.4 average, 4 out of 12 on the doubles. That defeat for David Schlicking could well be irrelevant because if James Richardson beats Jarno Bottenberg, the race is over. Actually a huge miss.
Jarno, you require
and a huge
44.
turn of fortune for Jarno Bottenberg. 4 tops.
Game shot on the 5th
That
flag. Jarno
was
Bottenberg.
the reaction of relief from a man who feels as if he may be getting away with it.
No score.
He just cannot cross that
Games
line.
require 50.
20 missed darts at double in this match.
Game shot on a 6th flag.
Now
James Richardson.
he's left with the sizable task that he's going to have to break the throw of James Richardson.
20. Game shot.
And
the
double
match,
10
James
eliminates
Richardson.
Jarno Bottenberg and sends David Schlicking into tomorrow night's final. 3 of the 6 players that'll be playing in the finale are confirmed. And Jarno Bottenberg, a thumbs up to the camera. He knows that his run has been ended by James Richardson, courtesy of a 4-3 victory. Coming up after this short break, Andy Hamilton and Steve Brown are going to be on the hockey. Neither player can progress their way through to Saturday night's final. We know the 2 identities now. They'll be playing off after this.
It's him down at the most important time.
Double 15. Inside, Brown gets another go.
18. Steve, you require 32.
Double 8.
Game
Well, it
shot
wasn't a
and the
classic,
match, Steve
but
Brown.
the mop of the brow suggests that Steve Brown has got the victory against Andy Hamilton by 4 legs to 1. Brown getting over the line, 4 legs to 1. The victor, neither know it's a classic. And so we will take a short break and we will see Jarno Bottenberg and Scott Taylor start the first round of the final round after this. He went bull.
60. Scott, you require 170.
Well, this would be some way to win the group. Can he do it on the fish?
95. Jarno, you require
Tell me
40.
what's happening here.
I wish I could.
20. Scott, you require
25 bull.
75.
I'm calling it now. 25 bull. Tops. This is more conventional.
35. Jarno, you require 20.
This is getting a bit shambolic now. Double 5.
15.
And this is why
Scott,
Jarno
you
Bottenberg's
require
in this
40.
position where he can no longer qualify out this group. The missed opportunities just adding up towards the back end of today.
Game shot on the first
And
leg.
that
Scott Taylor.
confirms what we...
Scott, you require 126.
Taylor wants 126, a 3-0. Another one of them. La Bull.
Game shot on the third leg. Scott Taylor.
3-0. However,
Scott,
we
you
might get
require
another go if this
16.
doesn't go.
Game shot.
But
and the
Scott
match,
Taylor
Scott Taylor.
is a 4-0 victor, and Super Scott may well be making another Super Series charge. He has won that game in under 7 minutes. Well, a nice little thumbs up from Jarno. He's enjoyed his week here. It wasn't to be in the end. A 4-0 defeat to Scott Taylor, an 89 average in the end. 4 out of 11 when it came to the finishing. Coming up after the break, it's going to be one final runner in this group for David Schlicking. We're going to see him back in the final tomorrow night. He takes on the hammer, Andy Hamilton, who's looking to...
David, you require
And
120.
Schlicking takes out the 120. Well, looks to take out the 120. Maybe I preempted his future. He does
Game
take
shot on
out
the
the
fifth flag,
120.
David
He
Schlicking.
climbs the ladder to full effect. But for David Schlicking, he's going to be back tomorrow night for the final. And he rounds off his qualification campaign with a victory. He does the double over former world finalist, and that victory was one that he has held quite highly to the collection. Another little celebration from David Schlicking. A 4-2 victory against Andy Hamilton rounds off his group stage campaign. Doing so with an average just under the 84 mark, 4 out of 11 when it came to the finishing, including a Shanghai checkout in all. Coming up after the break, the final game of the group, the final day of the final group of campaign. Brown Richardson next.
Steve, you require 142.
Hold the front page. Hold the back page. Tots of Brown.
Game shot on a 6th leg. Steve Brown.
A 1-4-2. Just when James Richardson thought, I was going to win the match.
Steve, you require 40.
For the match, for the win, and Steve Brown's week ends with a victory. It puts him into 3rd spot in the Group C table, having amassed 10 points all told. James Richardson's campaign ends in defeat. His 2nd run at the Super Series ends with a loss. Brown the victor by 4 legs to 3 with an average of 78.13. 4 out of 6 when it came to the doubling, and a 1-4-2 highlight checkout when James Richardson looked like he was going to go for the ball to win the match. Steve Brown beating James Richardson in our final game of the session by 4 legs to 3.
Yeah, indeed. And as the players left the stage, they were still talking about that 1-4-2 from Steve Brown, a really fitting way to end the day.
Yeah, I think James Richardson wanted to talk about that actually as they was coming off, because it was a big moment in that game that really turned that one around and put the emphasis back into Steve Brown. Really good way for Steve Brown to end the week as well, because he's been here all week. He's had a bit of a torrid time. He's gone through so many different emotions, I think. But one thing that he's been is very professional. He's stuck to the task. So it's nice to see him end with some positivity.
Absolutely. Well, at the end of the day, let's see how all of the matches played out. The last 4 games that we already knew who was going through, but Scott Taylor getting that 4-0 win over Jarno Bottenberg. He only needed 1 leg to be crowned the group winner. And David Schlicking signing off with a win as well. They're the 2 players that are going through. We'll start by talking about Scott Taylor, because he did struggle a bit yesterday by his own admission, but he really did bring some of his best stuff today.
He didn't struggle at all. He played very, very good darts, but what he struggled to do was to get results, to turn those into performance. Now, I picked up on this yesterday, and I said that it felt like everyone was playing their best darts against Scott Taylor. And when he came up and spoke to you earlier on, he bought into that exact same story. He was feeling that same vibe. Now, as a player, that's a concern, because you feel like you've got to push harder and do more, and that's probably why the results or the performance dropped today, because maybe he's just trying too hard to try and dominate every situation rather than just win the most. And he did actually win the most situation, won every single match today, 5 from 5, which is just so ironic that actually the numbers suggest that yesterday was a better day, but the results are with today.
Yeah, you're right. He just looked comfortable all day. He said to me, actually, the worst part of the day was doing an interview with me, but that could go for anybody, couldn't it? The way things aligned today, we did have this match in the middle of the day or towards the end of the day where Taylor and Schlicking played each other, and we got a bit of drama, didn't we, in it? We saw maybe David, for the first time, was starting to think about being at finals night.
Well, he said to me at the start of play on Monday, we had a bit of a chat together. I chatted to all the debutants just to get a little bit of a vibe, because you can look at numbers, you can look at results and stats, but you don't really get a flavour for it other than speaking to the player and sort of trying to unlock the mind a little bit and hear about what their goals and aspirations are. David Schlicking didn't really have many goals or aspirations. His sort of goals and aspirations sort of come off the back of this week rather than what this week actually held, because I don't think he genuinely thought that this was a week he was going to get through to the finals, and he now is. And he's not just done it, he's actually done it with quite a bit of comfort, which he can take comfort in that from the table as well and move that into tomorrow and take sort of pride in what he's done so far, but also he'll be feeling the support he's getting. I've been checking the socials, and there's a lot of support going the way of David Schlicking. He's a very popular guy on social media, and he'll go back to his hotel tonight. He'll be reading those messages of support, and he's going to feel on top of the world. I wouldn't be surprised tomorrow if we see him improve again.
Yeah, he missed multiple match darts in that one, but the next game, Jarno Bottenberg, he was still in contention. James Richardson knocked him out, and then David Schlicking got through as a result. Richardson a bit of a spoiler in that sense.
Officially, yes. Unofficially, I'll say no. The damage was already done at this point. Jarno Bottenberg losing to Steve Brown the game beforehand made it an almost impossible task for Jarno Bottenberg to get through. He had to win that. He then had to win his next. He needed David Schlicking to lose games. It was kind of all over the place. He needed a lot to go in his favour. The game, I think, was lost in that Steve Brown game when he lost 4-1 and he just couldn't finish a leg, missing multiple opportunities, giving Steve Brown the chances, and he did what Steve Brown's been doing when he's given those chances. He took them.
So, and from that sort of agony of missing those darts, he'd have been relaxing in the practice room, David Schlicking, and then he would have been a very happy turtle, although he's been a very happy turtle all week, hasn't he, here at the Super Series? He has really made his presence felt on that stage and entertained everybody.
I like what he said as well when he said that this actually helps him relax with it, and I really, really like the part where he said about it just organically coming through. I think sometimes when people start doing this, they feel like they have to continue it. And we saw when he actually qualified, he just walked off the stage absolutely normal. We was expecting something. He didn't feel it, so he didn't do it. And he's a guy that's just going with the emotions. He's not trying to force something through. And we've seen it so many times where players do something and then they've got to live up to that and they've got to continue doing it. And actually it becomes more of a distraction rather than something that helps them. And this is something that he's just saying, I'm not going to hold back. If I feel like doing something, I'm going to do it, which tells you he's really confident up there on the stage.
Well, let's get final confirmation then of this group. You've just seen the two players going through, Scott Taylor and David Schlicking. Actually, Steve Brown, with that last result, ended up finishing in 3rd place. But you think any of these players could come back another week, another series, and get to finals night?
Absolutely. I'm going to chuck on number 4 there, Jarno Bottenberg, and say I'd like to see him again because I've seen a lot from a debutant there, a young debutant who's came here with no real expectation. He's getting himself ready for Lakeside. He went to that qualifier with no expectation and got through it as well. So I'd like to see him back here again because I think there's a player in there. We saw it with the maximum hitting. One of the best 180 hitters I've seen here at the Super Series. And if you can just gel things together a little bit, which only comes with experience, and you're only going to experience by doing. So he's a player I'd love to see back here.
Right, we've got another group going to be completed tonight. The story of the week so far, Reece Robinson, the winner of Group A, Scott Taylor and David Schlicking going through to finals night as well. And Group B will be concluded tonight. But out of those 3 that are already through, Matt, where's your 50 pence?
It's can I go 25 pence each on Scott Taylor and Reece Robinson at the moment, and then if Matty Dennett goes through tonight, can I have 15 pence on each of them and keep 5p for myself?
Yeah, I thought you might say something like that. If Matty Dennett goes through, or will it be a case of when he goes through? We'll take a look at the Group B table. Didn't get the full house last night, lost to Tom Lonsdale in the end. So Dennett sitting on 6 points with Lonsdale. Are you expecting both of those to go through, or do you think there could be some movement in this group?
Honestly, and I think it's going to be a bit boring to say, but I think the top 3 stay the top 3. Maybe we just change the order in which the top 3 are. But I do think that's our top 3 tonight going through. Matty Dennett, I think, does win that group. I've been saying all the way through that it's a nice little double with Scott Taylor. The Scott Taylor side of it has landed. Now we move our attention to tonight. Can Matty Dennett confirm that double?
We will find out this evening. We return at 10 p.m. for the final 10 matches of the league stages this week, and then we'll be back, of course, for finals night tomorrow. The final 3 places will be filled this evening, so do join us then.